Let's try this again. Laura and I are fighting. Again. Happens about every 2 to 5 days. For the last 3 years. Always wondering. She always had an excuse. Normally starting a fake fight. So she has an excuse to run off and do whatever she's doing, claiming it's innocent. And blaming me. For example, the other day, took her and we got some chicken dinner, and when we got back, I was going to help her with the camper, and she got a text message from Michael Spillman, and ex-boyfriend, drug dealer. She's cheated on me with him before, and now for the last 3 years, like I said, it's been every 3 to 5 days, and I wanted more than anything to believe her, and that she's changed. Tried to get her off dope, tried to get her to do the right thing, get her life right, get away from these people, because all she hangs around is drug dealers, incest pedophiles, and I just learned this here recently, that the guy she was in bed with and shut the door on me and told me to sleep on the couch was an incest pedophile. He's got a kid with his daughter, and she was underage at the time. So, alright, so anyways, and she's always trying to shortcut everything, deceive people, like buying Pure Clean or something like that to pass her drug test, and make it out like, she's on the up and up, she's changed her life, and she's ready to get her son back. Now, her family took her son, and before I come along, they'd already taken her 2 daughters, and I told her before they took her son, I said, if you don't quit, and you keep going the way you're going, you're going to hand deliver Brian to your family yourself. And well, sure enough, that's what she done. She went and dropped him off, and they kept him. And got DHR and police involved and everything else, which at the time I thought they was being harsh. Like, man, that's pretty rough, take our mom's kid away. And I really didn't fully understand, when I talked to her mother, she said, what we've been doing for the last 20 years hadn't worked. Well, I tried anyway, because I fell in love with Laura, and I know she can do better. She just don't. And she don't want to. She wants to keep living that life. And at first, I was trying to help her and protect her, and but all I was doing is enabling her. She tried to set me up. I never met this Stillman guy before, but she tried to set me up and get me involved in buying and receiving stolen property on a 1963 Ford Galaxie 500. And I felt something was wrong with it. And no, and this thing was garbage. She won't pay $1,000 for it or restore it. There was no way of restoring this thing with any reasonable chance of it ever being even restored. It's a rust bucket, completely. And I told her no. Well, she had him pull it over into her yard. She was up there with me. He come up there and want the money. She just want me to go half and half. Well, Laura has a couple of police friends, and I didn't know it really. I mean, I knew she had an acquaintance with a few of them. Didn't know about her criminal history though, because the last time I seen her was in the 8th grade, and it's 25 something years later. Yeah, I didn't know she had a criminal history of all this, and she's trying to get me to pay for half of it. And I said, well, no, I told you, this ain't, there's something wrong with this, don't mess with it. And it ain't worth it. And she said, so you ain't gonna help me? I said, no. She said, well, I'll just do it myself. All right. Well, and I was trying to get a feel for this Stillman guy. And I was like, well, where's the bill of sale to this thing? He's like, it's on the dash. And I told her, I was like, well, you don't even know if it's there or what's on it. I mean, hold on a minute. So I go on legalforms.com and pay for a subscription and print off a legal bill of sale. So it's not stolen, free lien or loan, yada yada. And well, I hand it to her, and I'm trying to protect her because I don't know what's going on. And but something ain't right. Well, then I go to talking to him, trying to feel him out, see what he's all about. And Laura lays the paper, the 2 bill of sales I had printed out, lays them down, and walks out the door. I thought she signed them. I picked them up, looked at them, and started to hand them to him. And I was like, well, I hope she didn't sign either one of these. And I walked outside and asked her. I said, well, Laura, you didn't sign either one of these. And what's up? And he just walked out here, and she hesitated. And then she told on herself. Big red flag. Well, y'all are trying to set me up. Whoa, 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 whoa. What? I mean, I don't know this guy. Y'all just met him. You guys, that's your friend. And I didn't know how friendly they really were, that they'd, been sleeping together, do dope together and all this other stuff. So, and that they've known each other for a long time, years. And I said, that don't make any sense. I mean, it'd be more likely that, this is your friend. I don't know him for nothing. I'm trying to do this legally. That it would be you and him trying to set me up. No, something ain't right about this, Laura. Well, anyway, she gets mad. She leaves. She got caught. All right, well, I forget it. Okay, whatever. And stuff like this just keeps happening every 2-3 days. She wants to burn her mama's house down because they took her son. And at first, I thought everything, she's just mad. I was mad at my parents at one point too, and then she started planning it out, and I was like, whoa, hold up, Mark. I said, one thing being mad and venting. I said, when you go start planning this out and you don't act on it, I said, you're crossing the line there. And she seen then that I wasn't going to go along with this, and then she started talking to this Stillman guy and somebody else. I don't remember who it was, but in the yard, and I was trying to finish up her son's treehouse, and I overheard, them talking, and it didn't sound good. And I looked over, and there's about 3 or 4 or 5 gas cans right around each other, getting ready for something. And then when she noticed I was paying attention, well, she made me leave. I was supposed to be her boyfriend. When she got 2 other guys there, one of them used to be her ex-boyfriend, or supposedly, and making me leave. Okay. Well, later on that night, early morning, 2:30 in the morning, I was seeing a truck go by, and I was down the road, working on my truck, trying to fix the tail lights they screwed up. And anyways, that's a dead-end street. Only her parents down there, and her and her brother. It's kind of weird. So I walked down there to see what's going on. Well, I don't never see the truck. And but the dogs are gone. And when the dogs are gone, she's out in the woods. Arrowhead hunting or whatever she does. And so I walk out there. And when I catch up on them, there's like 3 creeks up there. And one of them, was cut low enough. It's been there for so long, it's cut down so low that you could literally walk down through there and nobody would ever see you, and you could be standing straight up. So it's deep. The creek's shallow, but anyway, and it's the only creek that goes around to towards the back of her mom's house. And when I walk up on her, and say something, whoever was with her took off running. And I never seen them. I never seen a truck in her yard either, but it may have been behind the house. I didn't look. But anyways, I walked down in there and I lay down on the rocks, and I see a green, yellow metal wagon that she's pulling, and she will take clothes or tent or something like that there, sometimes. But I've never seen her take a gas can out there, and there's two of them in this wagon. I lay down on the rocks, and I'm just looking at the gas cans, and I'm looking at her, and the person just run off at 2:30 in the morning. What are you doing, Laura? And she flips her flashlight on like she's looking for rocks and stuff like that. And she says, "Well, you ain't gonna stop me, Michael." And I said, "Stop you? Stop you from what?" And I'm looking back over at them gas cans, and anyways, she starts pushing this cart up out of the creek bed, and I didn't know nothing about cow mud and how you get stuck in that stuff, and it'll pull your shoes off, or you get your feet out of them. And well, she's pushing it up there. Kind of got the idea of what she's doing, and I grabbed her by the bottom, back of her heel. So I said, "Laura, I can't let you do that." And well, when I did, she fell, turned around, and fell on me, and it put me underneath the water. And she didn't mean to. I mean, but and then I couldn't breathe. I flipped her over off of me, and that put her under the water. And I reached down there and pulled her around and sit down with her and had my arm around her. I said, "Laura, stop." And next time I know, that cart come rolling down and hit me right there in the head. I got a little green scar there somewhere. The corner of it hit me, and then it swung around, scraped her leg, and then hit her in the nose, and kind of scraped her nose up a little bit. And so anyways, we was helping, both of us get back to the house, and she's wanting to go on vacation. Well, yeah, maybe we ought to get out of here for a few days. And well, I didn't know she was trying to set me up. She got me up there to go in to run a hotel room, and when I was in there, she took off, and then she's mad at me. He goes to the hospital. Gets police involved. Says I tried to kill her. I didn't know nothing about this till about 6-7 hours later, because after I come back out and see she was gone, I said, "Man, whatever," and didn't know that that's what she was doing. I thought she just took off. And anyways, so I go on vacation anyway, because and I go down to Florida, and then I get a call from my brother. 6-7 hours later, he's like, "Hey, what happened to you and Laura?" I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, she was out of the hospital. She said you beat her up, tried to kill her." I was like, "What? No, hell no." And I said, "Man," and anyways, she said that, "Yeah, you were so doped up and passed out that that's how she got away." And I said, "Well, there's a big hole in her story right there, because if you look at them cameras up there at hotel room in Gunnersville, and you see the cameras, she's outside, and I'm inside trying to rent the room. And that's when she ran off." So, yeah. And I said, "No, I didn't do nothing to her." I said, "We're out there in the creek, she was going to go do that with her mama, and what I just told you." Anyways, this is the start of this. Now, she gets me on felony because it's strangulation. She said, I was trying to kill her and everything else. So this is a felony, right? Domestic violence. And the case court date was TBA, to be announced, for about nearly 2 years. So I was underneath her foot for about 2 years. She liked that. Didn't know that's what she was doing. And anyways, and I asked her when we got back together, because even after that, she called me and got me to come back twice to come pick her up. Okay, she was just in a hospital, saying I'm trying to kill her. And here she is, getting ready to come back from Florida, so she can come down there with me. First time, she didn't show up. And I get all the way back down there, and she calls me again. And so I was just up there, you didn't show up. And she said, well, I'm scared, I'm sorry. Come get me. Well, this time she does show up. Right. That's kind of weird, right? And I asked her, I was like, why'd you do that? And she said, well, I'm sorry, I was mad. I said, oh, you're mad, huh? She said, yeah. If you let me burn my mama's house down and kill my mama, I'd still have my son. Or I'd get my son back, or something like that. Oh, whoa. Okay, so now do you see what all the trouble you caused? You know, this is serious. And I said, and you're blaming me for you losing your son. They were taking your kids before I ever come along. And I warned you, you need to, change what you're doing. Because if you keep on, you're going to lose him. And all she hangs around with, and I personally witnessed this, that drug dealers and prostitutes, dope heads, and here recently found out that one of the guys she's hanging around with and sleeping in the same bed with is an incest pedophile. He had a baby with his daughter and she was underage at the time. Just sleeping with his daughter and apparently still doing it. And she's sleeping with him. Even shut the door on me and told me to sleep on the couch. And that hurts. And she always had a legitimate-ish, if it's innocent, I'm not doing anything wrong, and I really want to believe her. Every time, I thought of her. And I wanted to help her, and I wanted her to change, but she never intended on changing. She just used me. And, well, I was the fool that kept going back. And my brother was mad at me at first, and he was like, you're doing it to yourself because you keep going back. And I said, man, it ain't my fault that she's doing this shit to me. And he said, yeah, but you keep going back. And then later on, it happened so much that he started laughing at me and making a joke. He said, well, you're no longer a victim. He says, I'm not mad at you. You're volunteer. And that made me laugh a little bit. And it kind of opened my eyes up a little bit. Yeah, it kind of was. Because I kept going back. And by going back, she'd try worse. And here, thinking at some point, she would stop. She would say I really loved her if I didn't quit, if I tried harder and loved her enough and done more for her. That maybe it's just she's had a hard life and she don't believe anybody's genuine and that whatever. But that wasn't it. She was never intending on it. But she was more than willing to allow me to use my love for her to exploit me and manipulate me and use me as a tool. When she was done with me, whatever work, or whatever money she needed or whatever, she discarded me. And all the time. So much so that when I was fixing the head on her truck because her truck was messed up and she needed a ride, I went over there and fixed it for her, and about close to me getting done with it, I walked up to her and I said, well, I'm almost done with your truck. It'll be ready here in just a little bit. Do you want me to kick myself out after I'm done? That's how many times that happened. I've been kicked out for cleaning the house. Gonna wake her up, but thinking that, hey, I cleaned your house, cleaned your yard, and it was nasty. Rat crap everywhere, dog hair everywhere. I mean, and killed about 11 rats in her pantry. And thinking she'd be happy and, I'd done something good for her, but nope. She walked through, looked at it, got mad, and told me to leave. What? Whatever. Anyways. And then, enough of that. There's been a lot of stuff that happened. I'm not going to go on about all of it. Here are recent events. Didn't realize she was still doing this stuff. Anyway, and well, wait a minute. She set me up. I got one more thing to do. I got a call about that domestic violence with me and her. I missed court. I never even knew what the court date was. It's always TBA. And my boss lady called me and said, hey, did you miss court? And I said, well, not I know of. And she said, well, they got a warrant out for you. And I said, well, can you give me till Monday? So I had the money and just bailed right out. So I didn't know. And she said, yeah. And then I got off the phone, and me and Laura was working together. I got her job with me, working in these apartments that were being built, making good money. And I told her about it. I said, hey, there's a bonds lady, and I guess I missed court for your domestic violence thing. And, but she's going to let me go ahead and turn myself in Monday and bail myself out. She said, all right. Well, this is Saturday, and we're trying to get in a little overtime. Well, that was 12 o'clock. We got back about 1 o'clock. From 1 o'clock to about 3:30, she'd already called the police and told them and set me up where I was going to be, after work, to turn my time card in, what we'll be driving and whatnot. And she rode all the way back. It was about a 40-minute drive back from work to there. Never give any kind of hint of anything, that she just set me up. All right. And well, I go up there and I'm putting my time card through the window, through the doors, and I see the reflection of the windows, about 5-6 police cars pulling up on me, pulling guns and everything. I mean, get down on the ground, pointing the guns right at me. If one of them been trigger happy, I'd have been shot. And I'm sitting here looking at them, put my hands up, and I say, all right, and I said, and I'm looking at it, still not really knowing that I thought my boss lady had done it, not really knowing that she'd done this. And, well, they got me back up, and I had my hands up, they's checking my pockets and everything. Yeah, go ahead, And I got my first indication that something's weird. And one of the older police officers, he actually saved my ass, really. Seemed like he's been an asshole, but he was trying to get point across to me. I told him, I said, well, yeah, y'all search whatever you want. But give my phone and my wallet to her so she can come bail me out. And leave the key in the motorcycle. She don't know how to drive it. My brother come get it. And he got real stern with me. He's, no, your property's going with you. You understand? And her property's going with her. You understand? And I'm looking at him like, you're being a little bit rough with that, but obviously something I don't, so I didn't say nothing. I just went along with what he said. Glad I did, because he knew what she'd done. And the other cops, they were new and stuff like that. He was, just doing their job and stuff like that, not realizing that they were pulling guns on the victim and protecting the criminal. Okay, that she'd done this to get me out of the way, because if she'd have waited till Monday, I'd got right back out and she wouldn't have been able to do nothing. Well, she saw the opportunity. If she put me in jail now, I had to wait till Monday. It's 2 days at least before I get out. So she had time to go to my apartment, rob me, steal my motorcycle, and I found this out later, because she claimed she's innocent and everything, she didn't do nothing. She vandalized my motorcycle. I'm bad. Stuff that would literally, if I was driving it, might have killed me. That caused me to have a wreck. And she done that because, well, the judge let me out, and she was mad about that. And I got, when she come back a week, 2 later, she was sleeping. I wanted to look back on that day to see what happened, and I looked at that Michael Stillman's messages between him and her. And I find out that she's telling him, hey, I just set Michael up, got him put in jail. It was so funny they're putting him on the ground like that. I love watching him get arrested. And hey, I got his motorcycle. You want to buy it? And he's like, how much? And she's $500. So she said, sell my brother's motorcycle for $500. 2022 or 23 CT Moto 650 or something like that. Nice bike. And them sending the messages where when I told her, I said, hey, we're going to press charges, whatever, if you don't give me that motorcycle back, you stole it. Well, when I got it back, it was vandalized, and, well, I love her. I didn't press no charges against her or nothing like that. And when she come back, and I found this all out, and I confronted her about it, I asked her, I said, let me show you something. I said, you set me up and put me in jail for a couple of days so you can rob my apartment. Use the police to do it. and they didn't even know it. And then he tried to sell my motorcycle, um, and then he vandalized it to the point where it's danger to my life. So that's like at least 3 felonies, a couple of misdemeanors, which I'm pretty sure become automatic felonies because all the other felonies, but whatever. There's at least 3 felonies there that will put you in jail for a very, very long time. All right? And the fact that you're trying to sell it to the same person that you got in trouble with buying and receiving stolen property, I know you got that thrown out or whatever because you made fake bill of sales and whatever she done. But you're trying to sell it to the same guy that you got buying and receiving stolen property with. Don't look good at all. And that would put you away for a few years, wouldn't it? She's like, yeah. And I said, well, let me show you something that you might not be seeing. I said, you put me in jail for a couple of days, woohoo, pat on the back, good laugh, at my expense and whatnot. But, you see I'm here, and it's only a couple of days. But you inadvertently give me the keys to your prison cell, because these 3 felonies would put you away for years, right? She said, yeah. And I said, well, let me show you something. Do you see a police report? And she said, no. I said, do you see a warrant? She said, no. I said, so you're busy trying to put me in jail, and I'm busy trying to keep you out of it. Just wanted to point that out, because I love you. And anyways, I had to put that in there because it all starts to make sense later on. All right. Well, anyways, she wouldn't quit. She kept doing this stuff here recently, and I'm trying to help her and working. And, like I said, I went up there and got some chicken for us both. She ate her 2 pieces, and she pulled the skins off mine and wadded it up and knocked my stuff off on the floor as she was getting out, and then fed it to her dog, and then went up to her truck and was going to leave. And I was like, well, what are you doing? She says, well, I don't like the way you're acting. I said, what do you mean? What exactly did I do? I said, I just bought you chicken dinner. And she said, you need to leave. I said, all right, whatever. So I leave. Well, that's because she was going over Stillman's. And anyways, and during that time, she claimed, she was over there. I found out she was over there, and she stayed the night over there. And she claimed that she didn't, and that she didn't sleep with him or anything else. And well, again, I looked back at the messages while she was asleep here recently, and seen that, well, Stillman had messaged her on that day and said, hey, what are you doing? And nothing out of the way, really. And she's like, I'm watching porn, getting off. And he said, well, why don't you come over here and get me off? And she's like, well, send me some gas money. Now, she's lied to me about all this, and now I've got proof of it. And I confronted her about that. And I told her, I said, is there anything you want to tell me? And then, and he told me that you didn't do anything with Stillman or nothing. And she said, well, I didn't. So here she, and I told her, I said, you know what? I'm asking you this because I already know, right? And she said, where's my phone? She's mad. I said, well, your phone's in there. I said, but I did look at it, and yeah. And I repeated what was said back to her. She got really mad about that. All right, well, she took off that day, and backing up a little bit, again, she's supposed to be meeting with the CASA people to try to help get her son back. And all she's running around with, again, drug dealers, druggies, pedophiles, incest pedophiles, and prostitutes. And she's still on the meth, smoking it every day, and drinking every day, and whatever else. And he said, Laura, there's no way I can, just stand by and just blindly, let you deceive them into getting your son back when you're not, you're doing worse. Look at the people you're hanging around. You want your son around that? I said, he's better off where he's at until you get right, and you get some help. And I've been trying to help you. But you just get mad at me. and blame me. Well, I message the Casa people and let them know. I hate it, but Brian is better off where he's at. At least he's, not in that environment around these bad influences, and got a chance at, having a better life instead of being, around and getting on drugs and just, yeah. And, well, she got really mad at me about that, which, I understand you're mad, but I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to protect your son, and I'm trying to get you to, do this right. Shortcut it and see people and stuff like that, and considering, you will run me off, and you're here watching porn and getting off, and anybody that messages you and says, hey, well, come get me off, and you say, well, give me some gas money, and well, you're on your way. And lying to me about it. Somebody that really loves you. And is trying to get you to do right, but instead of doing right, you insist on continuing this lifestyle and these drugs, and not doing what you need to get your son back. But you're going to blame me. And she always does that. She blames me for stuff that clearly I had nothing to do with. Well, I message Casa people, let them know that, hey, y'all don't realize that you're dealing with a very manipulative person, and this is what she's really doing. And if you want the truth, drug test her when she comes to court. Anyways, well, she got mad at me, and I made it to where she couldn't get her son back, but she done took off. She wasn't even around me. And she overslept and didn't show up to court. And then she goes to the hospital to try to get a fake doctor's excuse to kind of excuse her going up there. But now she's, and I don't realize that she's after me. She's, again, now trying to set me up. And that's what woke me up tonight to make this video, because she sent me a bunch of stuff, like she was gathering evidence, all this, and yes, when she does this stuff, yeah, I get mad and I gripe her out for it, I get mad and I say some pretty mean stuff, but anyway, and she's using that to, and I believe this is what she's up to paint me out, the aggressor, the bad guy. And recently I started learning, that who I'm dealing with is a narcissist. Not only a narcissist, a covert one that is meth fueled. And realizing that all these arguments and stuff that come out of nowhere for no reason, and I'd done nothing. Well, couldn't figure it out. Nothing explained why. She just, but no, she knew what she was doing the whole time. This was a ready, deployable scapegoat, smokescreen to create a reason for her to run off, cheat on me, do her dope, whatever. And all the while pointing her finger at me, knowing that I'm going to get mad about it, and I'm going to gripe her out about it. And then she's turning that around and going to use that to paint me as, I'm the aggressor, I'm the bad guy. But it's not going to work. Anybody that's got any good sense, and I'm sure the judges and anybody else could see straight through the bullshit, and yeah, I'm pretty mean when I was getting on to her about this stuff, and call her a few names and stuff like that. I'm pretty harsh. Quit being a dope whore and stuff like that. And look what all kind of stuff. All right. Well, anyways, going back to showing up to court for a domestic violence thing. Well, she didn't show up the first time because she's laying in bed with me. Luckily, I made a video of it, and when I went to court, I was up there. I said, I'll be right back. Love you, blah, blah, blah. Well, she'd emailed the DA and told him that, well, she couldn't make it. Well, she never intended on making it, but she wanted to keep me under her foot. And if she didn't have this, well, I wouldn't be under her foot. But I told her, you know, I have to do this. I love you. I want you. But anyways, the DA said, well, he wanted to give her 3 days. So come back in 3 days before I get them all. Alright, well, Laura didn't know I'd made the video of her being in bed. Well, after that 3 days, she actually takes me up there, and she's sitting out in the parking lot. And I made a video of that, and all the text messages between me and her when I was up in court. Well, she was out there in the parking lot. Well, the DA, you know, he's still hesitant, and I talked to him, and I showed him, well, this is why she didn't show up the first time. And this is why she didn't show up now. She's out there in the parking lot. She's wanting to give me a ride up here. So he dismissed it. And I said, thank you very much. Oof. And I go back down, and I'm thinking this is all over. And I wanted to show her that, hey, you know, I'm still going to stick with you. I'm not going to abandon you, you know, just because this is over, whatnot. I love you. And anyways, well, 3 days later, I don't do something that she wants me to do. And, well, she sends me an email and threatens me. You know, well, I'm going to go up there and tell the DA that the reason why I didn't show up to court is because you threatened to kill me. Alright, so I take that and I email the DA and show him, you know, I already showed him that other stuff. And now I'm showing him this. Now, look, she was out there in the parking lot. She just wanted to give me a ride up there. I'm inside. She's outside. She's free to do whatever she wants to. Can't do nothing to you. And here she is, because I won't do something she wants me to do, threatening to come up there and tell you that the reason why she didn't show up is because I threatened to kill her, and now you know the truth and what, you know, about all this. So if she does, there you have it. And well, she didn't do that, but just goes to show what kind of person I'm dealing with, all right? And being that a message that Casa and she missed court and all that, now it's my fault. I'm a sorry, low down, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, yeah, naturally I respond back to her. I was like, no, I'm not the sorriest, low down MFer that you've ever seen. Why don't you try looking in the mirror? And, you know, you wouldn't do it right, wouldn't get off the dope, wouldn't hang around all these people to get your son back the right way. You know, and the fact you're sleeping with an incest pedophile? So, yeah, why don't you try looking in the mirror and you might see the sorriest mother MFer that you ever seen, for real. And stop blaming me for, and take responsibility for your actions and your mistakes in your life. Anyways, and I think what she's trying to do right now, and that's why she run me around for 6 hours, and I knew she was trying to get dope, and I was trying to get her stopped. She claimed she didn't find any, and I'm thankful for that, but anyways, I think she did, or smoked some while she was there, because when we got back, you know, I was laying down for a minute. I was going to help her with the camper, but I wanted to rest for a little bit. I've been running you around for 6 hours, dumpster diving, whatever she does, and in all these different places. And she starts trying to give me a blowjob and have sex. I know, no, baby, I just want to lay here and hold you for a little bit, please. And I'll rest just for a little bit, and I'll get up and work. Well, she got mad. She, you know, this and that. And I said, well, if you're going to act like that, I'll just go home, okay? And I said, you know, when we was walking out there, she was going to leave in her truck. And I told her, I said, well, you know, we went to Lowe's earlier, and you got $35 from me. You told me to pay me back. I want my $35. Well, she started starting her truck up, and her door's open, and I tried to shut the truck off, and then she put it in reverse, about run me over, and I just got in my van and left, and then she started messaging me, you're crazy, you're insane, you know, blah, 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 whatever, and I'm calling the police. And you can call the police on me after you robbed me and don't want to have sex with you and I was going home and calling me drunk. No, you need to get off dope. And anyways, I went home, went to sleep. She messaging me, where you at, blah, 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 this and that. But anyways, and then today she messaged me because I'm going to actually take her out to eat. I still love her, still hoping, but there's no hope. And I give up. I'm done, for real. She's cussing me out, blaming me for everything, and then she posts all that stuff that she's got screenshots of me, being mean to her for what she done, but she's skipping the what she done part. And I told her, that's like going up and punching somebody in the face, and that's okay. But when they do something bad, oh, you got a problem, huh? Why don't you just got a problem with, why don't you just don't punch me in the face in the first place? But anyway, she's accusing me of cheating, which she's cheating. I haven't cheated on her, but she's been cheating on me for a while, and she's just mad because I recently caught her and called her out on it. And now she's taking all them responses, screenshots she's collected, and she had a bunch of them. She said it's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'm assuming, I guess when I woke up and was a little bit uneasy thinking about it, that she's up to something. And, well, because I called her out on her stuff and trying to stop her, and I didn't stop her from going to court. She overslept. I had nothing to do with it. I just told them people the truth, and it is the truth. But she wants to call me a liar. And I feel like she's going to try to use this and use me as a scapegoat, pointing a finger at me, that I'm the bad guy and, I destroy her life and this is why, or whatever. But no. That's not the truth. But it's never stopped her before. And she put me in jail and stole my motorcycle and planned it out. And then a lot of other things. But I wanted to make this recording ahead of time because I feel like this is what she's going to try to do. And, well, I'm going to go back to sleep. Hopefully, I'm just going to walk away from this. I griped her out a little bit earlier. But I'm done. Trying to help her is only going to get me in trouble and hurt me. And she don't care. So I'm making this video. This is what I believe that she's up to, and well, when she does, here's my testimony on all this. And I'm just not going to say another word to her because it does no good. I've tried and tried and tried. Nothing. Being nice, being mean, whatever. Nothing works. And it ain't going to work if she don't want to change. And until she does, she's not going to. And I don't want to give her any more ammunition against me. She's just going to use anything and everything against me. Instead of taking responsibility for what she's done in her lifestyle and changing, she would rather do this. And clearly she will throw somebody that loves her very much under the bus just to save face and hide the truth. And I'm not the only one. Her parents and her kids completely disown her and has put her in jail a few times. and Will refused to talk to her. And now I know why, because what my mama said, what we've done for the last 20 years hasn't worked. So uh, what I've witnessed the last 3 years, yeah, yeah. Um, she wants to blame them for taking her kids, and then me, and blame everybody else, but not herself. That she's doing no wrong, and she is perfectly willing to destroy everything and anyone to get her way. And if you get in her way, well, you're going to be punished. You're going to pay for that. And she'll set you up, put you in jail, whatever she can to make you pay. Rob you, hurt you, cheat on you, anything. Nothing is off limits to her. So I'm going to start seeing the reality of things and stop believing my own delusion that she's ever going to change, and that I'm only enabling her, not helping her. And, if this happens and she tries to do this, here's, like I said, my testimony ahead of time, and I'm going to go to sleep. I was just had me so bothered that I couldn't sleep. Slept for a little bit and then woke up. Good night, and hopefully I'm worrying for nothing, and if I just stop talking to her at all, this will go away, and I need to focus on moving on in my life and rebuilding it and seeing this for what it is.